We're pretty excited today because the car we're featuring is the winner of the North American Car of the Year that was announced at the Detroit Auto Show, the Cadillac ATS.
Well, Zach, there's no doubt that Cadillac wants to make a statement with this car, and their guns are aimed at the German imports. They've benchmarked the imports, especially the BMW 3 Series.
You got that right. The pricing of the ATS is almost identical to the BMW 3 Series, but Cadillac hopes to win over buyers with more content, power, and road prowess.
The ATS is almost the same size as the BMW 3 Series. It's a little bit longer, just as wide, and a tad bit shorter. Now, the biggest difference is the shorter wheelbase, which affects the interior. We'll tell you more about that in a minute. The ATS is sold in 4 trim levels called Base, Luxury, Performance, and Premium. The base model starts at roughly $35,000, and the model that we have today is the Performance trim in all-wheel drive at roughly $46,000. Top models will run into the $50,000 range.
Now, all Cadillac ATSs can be equipped with all-wheel drive. That's a good thing. The way they implement it, I don't think it aesthetically looks that good. There's a big gap. This is the all-wheel drive model between the wheel and the wheel well. It's sitting a little too high. You look at BMW and Audi, they're able to implement an all-wheel drive system with the car hunkered down. It looks better. The other thing that they're doing and kind of following BMW on all but the base model, the ATS is equipped with the harder and louder run-flat tires. That's a trend they shouldn't have followed.
Styling is strong through the front with great-looking LED running lights and the angular design that Cadillac has used with great success on the larger CTS. Even the door handles have LED accents that light up at night.
The interior is a very pleasant surprise, fitted with first-rate materials and a futuristic dash. There were a few tricks here that other luxury car makers could copy. Now, the first thing Cadillac has done very well is the screen in the center of the dash. It's called Q, their infotainment system. The graphics look rich, it's an intuitive design, and I have to tell you, this was the simplest system I've ever used in any car to pair my phone. It took just 2 seconds, very intuitive. Now below that you see other controls for heat and volume, things like that. There are no rotary dials, it's all touch sensitive. The screen and the console below it have haptic feedback, which means when you touch it, it gives a little vibration to signal that it's received the input. The same way you get with your cell phone or a game controller. That's pretty cool. Now some people might love this, others might want to take a pass.
The ATS has good legroom up front, more than the BMW 3 Series, but the back seat is really small. This is where the shorter wheelbase impacts the design. As you can see, the legroom is really at a premium back here, and they've had to scoop out the headliner to make extra headroom. Now, this really isn't a great family car, especially if you have a car seat. Personally, I think it'd be best suited for a single or maybe a couple.
Now, if you compare this Cadillac ATS to the BMW 3 Series, the Cadillac has more power on every trim level. The base motor is the all-new 2.5-liter direct injection 4-cylinder, the same one used in the new Chevy Malibu, but it has more power at 202 horsepower, compared to just 181 horsepower for the base BMW 320i. The top model is the 3.6-liter V6 with 321 horsepower, more than the 300 horsepower coming from the BMW 335. The model that will sell the most is this vehicle, the turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder with direct injection and 272 horsepower, way more than 241 horsepower coming from BMW's 328i. But this Cadillac is down a couple of cogs in the transmission. The BMW has an 8-speed automatic transmission and a 6-speed manual. The Cadillac has a 6-speed automatic and also available with a 6-speed manual. Now, I want to touch on the sound of the engine, especially with this 4-cylinder turbo, because there's a lot of people don't like the turbo idea because they can be a bit buzzy, and it's not buzzy at all. I would call it raspy or throaty. It's really only under hard acceleration that you notice. When you're cruising like this, you can't even really tell at all. It has fabulous power. And my biggest compliment to this car, other than the powerful engines, the fabulous Brembo brakes. And they really do a good job. They're not grabby, they're very progressive, but they feel fantastic.
The ride of this Cadillac is nothing like the Cadillacs of old. In fact, I would have to say that this new ATS is crisper and has more feedback than some of the German models. I think some of the German vehicles are getting a bit softer, and this American is actually getting a bit more of a European feel. The seats are firm and the ride is too, but not too bumpy. The top premium trim is fitted with the electric ride control system that might make the ride more versatile. The shifts are crisp and paddle shifters are fitted on the performance model, but the tranny is not as sophisticated as the BMW's dual clutch setup. So which ATS do you choose? Well, the 2-liter turbo is almost as powerful as BMW's top 335i, but it's cheaper and it's more pleasing to drive than the 328i. Overall, they've got a good package. It's an easy car to drive hard. This ATS is effortless to navigate through busy traffic. The suspension, I think, is a little bit firmer than the 3 Series, and I love the powerful, smooth engine. I really think Cadillac's got a winner here.
So Lacey, what do you think of this Cadillac ATS? Does it live up to all the hype?
Well, you know what, Zach? I really like the powerful engine options. It's got great feedback to the driver and a very firm, comfortable suspension. I think it's the best looking car in its class on the outside and love how it looks on the inside. Which brings me to the downside. I am not a fan at all of the touch-sensitive controls, and the materials that they use in the center dash, that shiny finish, really shows a lot of fingerprints. Also, I'm not crazy about the position of the gear shift. That's it. What do you think?
Well, I love all the same things. It's a great handling car. It has more power than the BMW on every level, quite a bit more actually. And the real value, I think, is going to be this 2-liter turbo. It's a surprisingly good motor. It's refined and smooth. Handling feedback is first rate. The brakes are fantastic, and it's got great styling. I agree with Lacey. It's definitely right near the top of its class on the outside. Now to the downside. Now there's a bit of harshness coming from those run-flat tires. People who have owned cars with run-flat tires in the BMW world really dislike them. There's a lot of complaints around that. I'm surprised Cadillac went the same route. And the back seat, Lacey, really is too small. So if you're a family of 4, this should not be on your list. It's good for a single person or a couple. The good news is though, Lacey, they just announced the Cadillac CTS, which is a little bit bigger, and we can't wait to drive that one.
Looking for a luxury car? Our reviews are available 24 hours a day at drivingtelevision.com.